back with the Remington Sportsman 58 to address this. Come with me. Mill Serp Garage. All right. In the description down below, you're going to have the link to the video for this shotgun, Model 58. I'm warning you now, it's an hour and a half long. But if you really want to catch up to where we're going to be at right here, take a look. Sure, you'll find it interesting. This gasket is what we're going to be dealing with right now. This is the one thing that we just had left behind where we had this in there. We needed to address an issue with this in the gas system. Just figured I'd just save that for another video. So we're going to get in here. Just as I'll just do a recap. Is that, with these gas systems, right? This is Remington's first gas-operated shotgun. So they had some teething problems, And the gas is tapped through the barrel, typically with these types, through like a couple of ports here. And then there's usually a chamber with a piston, something that harnesses that gas to be able to push an operating rod that actuates the bolt that will cycle the action every time you pull the trigger. Every time it gets like a puff of gas from the firing of a cartridge, right? So occasionally inside these, there's gaskets. The ideal design is just to design a piston that never needs to use any type of gasket or anything like that, But, occasionally, especially it seems with the shotguns, there needs to be, some gaskets in place to be able to contain this gas, So I'm going to show you exactly where this O-ring goes in that process of containment. We're going to, for now, we'll leave the barrel right here. We need the barrel because the barrel is an important part of that containment, because here are the gas ports. So it's obviously the gas is going in here. This has to be covered and this has to be covered. So forearm is also an integral part of this. And what just fell out of here, this ring. This is the original ring that came with it, and this is the original gasket. So this gasket, busted up and disgusting as it was, it sits inside this ring. And the ring sits inside the forearm. It's a resistance fit, so if I try to get this in there now, it'll just fall apart. So we're going to work with this metal ring that kind of holds it, as if we're just going to imagine that this gasket is here in place, okay, for now, because of how dogged it is. So, and also one other integral part of the system is obviously where it's picking up the gas. So this is important, and I'll show you why. And then, of course, there's a cap is important because it's the other side, and it vents. It's actually the purge system for the gas system. All right. So what does this gasket do? So when this is all together, right? Let's see. What's the best way to look at this? Well, if I put this on without the barrel, could help. So if this is on here, you see that this ring would end up back here somewhere. There it goes. That's where it ends up, back there. And of course, like I said, they would be the rubber there. And you see, and then this cap screws on after the barrel's on. So you see the barrel, this barrel ring right here, would sit right in this gap right here. If it was all on there, it would sit right here. And you're looking down there right now. I know you might be seeing what I'm seeing. I'm just going to hold it. I'm holding it straight right now. It's in line. It's all straight. And you just say like, well, those two holes are off. You need to line up your magazine tube. It's off. It's not off, because if you look in here, See, this is the center line right here. Those two holes are offset to the side. So when this is on, you can see it's slightly offset. There must be a reason why they're doing that. I'm thinking they don't want to drill straight through the middle of this ring. I don't know. It goes off to the side. Okay, we'll figure out why. We did solve one problem, by the way, with the 870. Don't let me forget to tell you about the 870. Should I tell you now? I'll tell you right now. Let's jump into the 870 for just a second. Remember, I was talking about how with the semi-auto that the action had to move back a little bit before the bolt started to open. And I was like, see, the pump won't do that. And then I'm like, wait, the pump is doing that. Why is, you can see that the bolt carrier right here moves back slightly like that before it starts opening. Right? Why? Why would the bolt do that? It's actually dropping the locking lug. That's what it does. So from here to here, before it moves, is it just pulling the locking lug down, then it opens. And the locking lug goes into the mortise that's up here. So that was the answer to that, by the way. I know you love this. This is the greatest 870 in the world. It's a cylinder choke, 1982, I believe, vintage. Oh, that receiver is just a block of iron. All right, so where were we? I could talk about the 870. The 870 might be my favorite gun of all time. So where were we? Right, so there's the gap right here when this is on, right? So that gap, it has to seal, right? So the cap seals this side, right? And the other side is sealed by the gasket. And you could say, like, now that gasket is important because it has to sit in exactly the right spot. Why? Because the barrel, I'll show you, when the barrel is seated, right? The barrel butts up against, this is where it's located. It's located by, when it goes in the receiver, it just hits a spot where that's it. It ain't going anymore. It stops right there. So there's nothing here to stop it. It would just keep sliding along the magazine tube. So that's the spot where the barrel's going to be. So any type of gasket that's here has to be sealing, just has to be in the right spot, let's say, so that it's sealing, because if this hits and it hasn't reached the gasket yet, this ring hasn't reached the gasket yet, it won't seal. And you could see the inside on the edge of this ring right here. If I could focus, there we go. See, it's like it's the type of edge that you would use to seal to something, and it's flat right here. You can see where the gasket sat. See it on the top? You could also see something on the top. You could see that was the spot it was failing. Isn't that interesting? You could actually see it bulged up. So what happens here is, so I'm going to take a shot down here again, looking straight ahead. Where do you see the weak spot with this gasket? So like my gasket's sitting right there, right? So what does it do? It's all supported all around the edge except for right here. See, there's a lip right here that it sits on, the gasket, right? But here, there's nothing. So all that pressure up against this cap on one side and the ring around the other side, and all the gas is forced into there, right into the magazine tube. And I call it the magazine tube, but only this half of it at this point is the magazine tube. From here up, it's the piston. It's the gas piston, the chamber. It's utilized as the chamber. So calling it the magazine tube, but that half of it really technically isn't. It would be the gas chamber. So this is the point where it fails. Here, I'm going to show you a picture. What's going on with my gasket over here? You know, it needs replacement. See how it's bulged up like that? That's the issue, and that's where this one bulged up to the point where it was so bulged. It was bulged up like that in the middle that it actually failed, and I could tell it that's the spot, because see that mark right there? You can kind of see it. You can kind of see it where it goes like from here to here is a different like color, sort of, right? That's the spot where it was exposed to the gas that was blowing by it, you know what I mean? And bulging it up in the air. So what's the solution to this? Okay. A lot of people think that this gasket damage is due to recoil, by the way. So if you poke around online and you look around, you're going to see a lot of people that try to blame it on, recoil. They think it's like a buffer, like a recoil buffer that goes in there. And, I've seen people say, hey, you got to be really careful with with the loads you use, because that you can damage the recoil buffer if it recoils too hard. It's like, it's not, you're right, but you're not right. You're right that you have to be careful with the power of shells that you use. But if the shells are too high powered, it's not the recoil that's hurting it. It's the more pressure you have, the more you're going to blow this gasket out. That's what it is. So it's not from recoil. And here's the thing. This is going to be a little uncomfortable. So I found it on the internet, right? There's two things that you can get to help remedy this. Number one would be this part, which would replace this guy, theoretically. They did that. They came out with, even Remington saw this problem, and they came out with this. So this is an early one, because, mine is a 56. They came out with this gun in 56. I know it's a model 58. Remington did that, the 2-year thing. But the 56 ring is the older ring. I don't know when they switched over, because, of course, there's the 878 also. The 878, I'm pretty sure, used this exclusively. So maybe it's when the 878 came out is when they did the switch over. I don't know. But this part, obviously, if it goes in here, now it has a lip, as you can see, on either side in this area, right? That would hold on to the gasket better when it's in there, to stop it from pushing out of that into that space in the forend, right? All right, so we have to hope that it works, right? So here's the thing. I bought it just hoping that it fits. So now what I see in here, see, it has this beveled edge on the inside of it, where it fits into a beveled edge inside the forend. So that's so that it could get located in there without breaking. The pressure's pushing it back, not a tremendous amount, but enough that where after over time it could flatten the area that's there. So they beveled it to make it nice and strong. So now when I get the new ring, so there's the old ring in there, and you could see that this area right here would be where the gasket is. And then this area on the other side is like where it's locating, kind of, you know what I mean? Then when I get this one, I pull it out of the packaging and I look at it and I'm like, uh-oh, all right, there's the beveled edge. Great, it's beveled to fit inside that bevel. And this part fits in here, so that's good, right? But look, you can see it, right? That step for the gasket is here, but that step in the back of it, okay? So this spot, whoa, stay in there. This side back here does not have that step that this one has. So I'm like, it's probably not going to fit in the forends, right? Wouldn't you think that? That's usually how things are. So I take this one out, and with my fingers crossed, we give it a try, and got my thumb stuck in it, and yep, it fits. Somehow that extra edge doesn't really mean anything. I don't know how. And you know what? What's really cool, if you look in here, you can see how they even recessed the wood for the edge of the gasket. So you could put the gasket in. The gasket would sit in there and have that edge along there, right? That's pretty cool. A lot of thought went into this, but just the design with this ring, it was this space right here just wasn't working. So now we got this part, right? We got this part ironed out. We got this in here. It fits. It's nice. Now we need the gasket. All right, here's the thing with the gasket. I poking around on the forums, I happen to have seen this post where a guy was saying, I found a bunch of these, like from some gunsmith friend that died or something, and I've been selling them on eBay. This was in 2015, okay? It's almost 10 years ago, so I didn't think for a million years it would have anything to do with the same guy, but I did go online. I bought this part, the ring, and I bought the gasket. Two different guys. The ring came ready. The gaskets haven't come. But this guy was really cool. He texted me through the eBay texting system, and he's like, I want to make sure you get the right part. Uh, it's like I'm away for the weekend. I'll send you a couple of them to make up for it. Really nice guy, And he's like, one way or another, there's two different gaskets. And one way or another, I'm going to make sure you get the right one. I'm going to send you the one because I told him about the two different rings, I told him about these two different rings. And he said, yeah, he goes, I have the gasket for this ring. And this hadn't come yet. So he said, if this fits in your gun, you're definitely going to be able to use my gasket. But the older one uses a different gasket. Now, I don't see how. They look the same to me. I don't know. I don't know how many of these rings there are actually, but looks like it would work with either of these. But he did say specifically that this was the one that his gaskets are for. So I'm sure his would work. And they are these flat, they call these square gaskets because it's I know it's round, but we're talking about this part of it. It's flat and it's squared off, right? So he's saying in his post, here, I got it up here. He's saying that, that a lot of people, they want to use an O-ring, and that, it's something about the dynamics of the round washer. The Remington knew what they were doing. I understand he's selling these, so he doesn't want someone just using a round one. But me, I don't have the gasket yet. I only had gotten this part. I really just want to be fair. I'm going to test everything. I'm going to do another follow-up video where I'm going to shoot the gun for a while with his gaskets and see how they work out. And I'm also going to be fair, try it with these guys. So I went to the hardware store to see what I could find. Could have been a failure. It could have come back. This O-ring. Here's the reason why I think they say don't use O-rings, because it has to be perfect. And the thing is, you're talking about me here. I know exactly what I'm looking for. I know how to make this work. I can imagine how somebody could fail. They could think just because they throw something in there and it fits, they go like, yeah, let me try that or whatever. There are some very specific parameters that this must meet to work. Now, in my opinion, I don't care what Remington says what the dynamics are. A gasket has two jobs, right? It has to seal and it has to not fail. Am I right? If it seals and it doesn't fail, it's successful. I don't care what shape it is, what color it is. I don't care what the part number is. If you want to be 100% sure, buy the gaskets from this guy on eBay there. Of course, he's selling them specifically for that purpose. You know what I mean? But I'm saying that these things are, how much were they? I don't know, $1 something a piece. And I have, I don't really have it right in front of me, but here, I'll post it up there. Here's the dimensions of them. They have a certain inside diameter, certain outside diameter, and a certain width, I guess. You know what I mean? So those are the three measurements you'd need. There's a part number and everything. You'll find them. You look online, you'll find this gasket. I'm going to zoom in a little bit here. I'm going to get a little up close, and I'm going to show you what the parameters were laid out for me to make this work. I'm going to show you. So the square gasket that Remington supplies, and I'm pretty sure this is my original one. Okay, so I can be sure that this isn't just some aftermarket one that fits this way. It's really good that I had an original one to work with still, okay? So it fits in here where, first of all, there's no movement in this channel right there. So that makes sense. It definitely has to fill this exact gap right there without moving up and down, number one, right? Number two, you could see, I'll turn it around this way, it's slightly proud to the edge here all around. See it? So even if I know it's cracked, but even if I seal it up all the way, squeeze it shut, it's still slightly proud here. number one. And number two, it's also proud here. See what I'm talking about? It doesn't fit flush. This is flush right across right here. This right here, this ring and this outside part there, see it? That's flush right across. But if I put the gasket in there, it doesn't fit to that level. It sticks out just a touch. It's proud here, and it's proud all the way around. I think those two dynamics are very important to making this function. Because of course, it has to, whatever you're using, if I'm using this guy, right? It has to be perfect. I mean, it has to fit in the exact right spot. If it's off by a little bit, is where you're going to get your failure. So the thing about these are, I just poked around in this hardware store, going through these little drawers for about an hour. What happened in there was amazing. Found an O-ring. Took a while, but I found one that fit, first of all, perfectly in this groove. So there's no movement up and down at all. It's proud in this direction and nice and proud, so that if it gets squeezed a little bit, it'll be about the same distance that this one was sticking out. Because, you know, this rubber one's not flat, so it's going to squeeze a little bit. I wanted it to be a little bit extra here. And also, if you notice here, look, it's just bigger than the ring. See, if I hold it here, you'll see it around there, like the corona of an eclipse. See how it's just proud here too? It's absolutely, I couldn't have designed this particular gasket any more perfect. So now, what we have here, we go in here. Let's get this, let's get the light in here. That's about as good as I'm going to do with the light. There we go, I can angle this a little bit. So this guy, and it's really hard to get these square gaskets in here. But this one, see, that's what it needs. It needs to actually be pushed. Remember that little edge that was in the wood? So that little edge in the wood is relieved in there so that you can do that to get the gasket in there. Look at that. That is what you need. And I can, what I could do is, here, I'll show you. Let me see, which direction does this go? It goes like, and it goes like this. How do I do this? I'm bugging out. Does it go this way? Oh, all right. So I have to, no, wait a minute. Okay, it just goes right on top. I'm sorry. I'm thinking that the barrel has to go through the middle of the wood. My brain. So yeah, here's the sealing of it right there. I thought for some reason you'd be able to see it, but you can't really see it. There's no way to really get in there to see it. But what can I do? I think if I look, it even had to pop off of there like that. That's crazy. Maybe it's like this is what I wanted to do. Somehow I was looking at it where you could kind of, yeah, you could kind of look at it, how it's in there. It's sealed right up against there. Absolutely perfect. And now, boom, and the cap seals the other side. And I swear to you, I could feel it just mush it just a teeny bit to go in there like that. And I'm pretty confident that that's going to hold okay. And we'll see. I'm going to you know, I'm going to test it out. I'm going to get these gaskets too from my eBay friend. Listen, you could go either route. You want to play around, try a little bit of the same. I mean, I'll let you know if it works out. Gas retention for these gas operated semi-autos is always dicey. I remember with the Grand, messing around with the gas system on the Grand to get that exactly right, dealing with, like, you know, the whole bent op rod thing and the adjustable gas plugs and all that stuff, right? That's probably the biggest forum talk subject on Garands that there is. So with these guys, it'd be the same thing. It'd be the same thing. This would be the big thing. I'm thinking that would be okay. This gasket, I'm saying. Now, of course, again, check this out. Just as a footnote before we go, again, the awesomeness of the last video showing what Remington's real answer was. Remington's real answer was the gas wants to go to the outside, so forget the tube. Put 4 rounds back in the tube instead of 2. Don't cut the tube in half, right? And here's what needs to be actuated on to make that's connected to the action bars. It rides along the outside of the tube. Here's the chamber. The chamber is a ring around the outside of the tube, and then you just figure out a way to put a gasket here. This gasket, see, there's even gaskets in the 1100. This is it, this little one. This seals in here up against that ring inside. Banging into everything. Can I get in here? Here. So you see, there's the 2 gas holes, but behind that ring seats back here on this edge. On this edge back here is where that ring sits. And that stops the gas from pushing forward through the ring, the rubber gasket. And what's behind it? These guys. These guys are on this side. And all they got to do is just be pushed. All it needs to do is push this little bit right here. That's the shove from the gas, from here to here. Because then, see these? These are vents. This right here is vents to vent the gas, and then it vents it right out of here. All you need is a puff to push it from here to here, short stroke piston. So once it gets that bump from the gas, it's just inertia after that. It's this part right here, this heavy part right here is what gets pushed back by inertia. It just swings by inertia. Like when you push somebody on a swing, right? You don't push them all the way up to the top and then let go and they go all the way back down. You just give them a shove, and then inertia does the rest for them to go all the way up and all the way back. And then when they're coming forward again, just a shove. That's what this gas does. It just gives it that little push just at the right time to and just enough to make it cycle, to make it kick out the shell and pick up a new one. You don't want it slamming back against the receiver, and if it isn't enough gas, it's not going to go far enough to be able to eject the round and pick up the next one. It'll fire, but then it's not going to operate. So these rings right here are what the major advancement was that stayed an advancement all the way through till today, for crying out loud. I mean, the 1100 is still going strong. What's going on here? Let's put it back together. And we put it back together. Is that the right way? Yep. Yeah, you love the 1100. So the 1100 didn't have to deal with that problem, but it didn't eliminate the gasket. It just eliminated the gasket being a problem. Let's put it that way. So that's the follow-up with the Remington Model 58, the Sportsman 58. I'm going to do a follow-up video. I'm going to let you know how my gasket's doing. I'm going to let you know how my the replacement gaskets that I got on eBay from that guy there are doing. I'll give you my advice. If you really just want to get it done with, get the gaskets from him on eBay. Everybody's saying that they're working. Nobody's saying that they're not. What I'm doing right here, hey, it might not work. I probably won't post this until I already know it works, I'll be honest with you. But he's like a sure thing, and then you'll have what's supposed to be in there. You'll have a gasket that's square, it fits, it's nice, it looks normal the way it should. The only thing I'm saying is the 3 of these were like $4 or something, whatever they were. They're cheap, and I got a feeling they're gonna last for a while. I just got that feeling. It's true. Is with a rubber O-ring in that situation, is it gonna allow gas to just blow right past it? I mean, it could. It could. I'll know right away if I listen. The problem is never too little gas. The problem is always too much. If it's too much gas, like that was the problem with this. That was the problem with this ring here. The cap. The cap is a vented cap, right? It has a relief in it here, where it's supposed to blow out gas through these holes, and there's 2 settings, a high and a low setting. And the problem was, if it was in the middle, it blocked off all the holes, and you would supposedly grenade this right off the magazine tube, the gas chamber, or break something else. But it would be way too much gas. It would slam the bolt back. It would supposedly destroy the gun, potentially, if you had it in that position, which is another thing that maybe wasn't such a great idea with this design, this selector thing for that. But you see how if the problem was that if it was in the middle, it just blew all the gas out of it. Yeah, all right. So that one shot, it would shoot just fine, but then it wouldn't cycle. So if my round gasket, if my O-ring doesn't work, it would just allow too much gas through, and it would allow gas through, period, and then the gun wouldn't cycle. So it's not like it would really be a danger. If it doesn't cycle, I'll know I'm wrong, and I will let you know. I will be honest. And that's it, ladies and gentlemen. I'd love to make it to the range tomorrow. Today is Wednesday. These gaskets from him are supposed to be in on Saturday. So if I get to the range, I could test this out tomorrow, and then love to get back in there on Friday before the weekend rush comes. Do another test, like shoot 2 days with the gasket that I have. So it would be 8 rounds. 8 rounds would be enough to decide. And then after the weekend, I would let you know how it went. All right, y'all. See you later.